to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Recording by Westborough TV. Anyone here for open forum? First up, we have the minutes of March 9th. Any comments? No comments. You have a motion to accept?
Move to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
And second.
You have to take a vote now.
Yes.
All in favor?
Oh. I always forget that part. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous? Second, we have the Senior Social Services Director's Report.
Before I get started in the report, I just want to introduce John, if you want to stand up. John is our new Program and Engagement Coordinator. As many of you folks know, Mary Ellen retired after, I think, 10 years of service to the town in December, late December. So today is John's first day. He is joining us with experience in marketing. He's ready to hit the ground running. He's already come with me to my donuts with the director this morning. So he's been out meeting a lot of folks. We're very happy to have him. If you want to introduce yourself quickly. I put you on the spot a little bit, I know.
Well, thank you all very much. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be part of a senior center team that's supporting this wonderful community. I have a little bit of history with Westborough, but it's been a few years, so I'm so excited to be back in town in this coordinator and engagement role. My background is in communications, marketing, engagement, event management, and I'm looking forward to using all of those skills in support of this senior center and this wonderful community. And thank you all for this opportunity.
Awesome. Welcome. You're fully staffed, Kendra. Oh, sorry.
Say that.
No.
I
Actually, van drivers.
Yeah, we need a couple of van drivers,
okay.
but the office is fully staffed, which is a good thing. Yes, yeah, if anybody out there is watching, please come be a van driver.
Part-time position, a lot of flexibility. So,
Yes.
yeah.
And you get to go maybe go on a field trip or something, you never know. Which brings me to my director's report. That photo is from Old Sturbridge Village, which was a grant that we received from the Westborough Cultural Council. So they gave us the funding for the tickets so that the folks that went on that trip could go for free, which was very lovely. We did not pick a good day weather-wise, but we did have a lot of fun. We went specifically for the maple syrup harvesting, which they were doing, which is that gentleman in the top hat in the photo was doing. It was a lovely time, and we really appreciate the Cultural Council for giving us that funding so that we could do that for free. In February, the Senior Center offered a total of 295 rides. We did not provide service on February 16th for President's Day and February 23rd and 24th for weather, which is hopefully over for the year now at this point, but you never know. In March, we had the average daily attendance of 56.32 people. 92 volunteer hours were worked. The Senior Center had 431 individuals visit 1,399 times. I hosted one public meeting at an over 55 in March and one in April. In March, I went over to Walker Meadow, and in April, I went to Del Webb at Chauncey. And I did visit Hastings School for Community Reader Day. which was surprisingly, I said this at my donuts with the director, I was feeling a little bad for those kids, thinking, some people get the fire department, some people get a police officer, and the kids in the class that I got are getting me. But it was actually, the kids were very engaged, very interested in the senior center. They are very interested in coming up here for a field trip at some point, which was very nice of them to want to come and hang out with us. And I was just invited to the other elementary school as well in about a month. I believe that's called Fales.
Sales.
Yeah, see, I'm pretty far removed from the elementary school up here, so.
There's another one too, Armstrong.
Oh, okay. So anyway, it was really nice. They were very interested specifically in anyone I know over the age of 100. That is what is very interesting to those guys. So that was very sweet. We had our Eid dinner. We had 35 participants for Eid. And that was with the help of the Boroughs Islamic Society. They shared some of the meaning behind Eid, and they did talk about being a Muslim. And then the dinner that we provided was free through a grant through the Massachusetts Council on Aging. Our Easter dinner, we had 50 participants. You can see there that Linda was having such a good time that she was laughing. In that photo,
It's an action shot.
but we had a lot of help from the Congregational Church and from St. Luke's Catholic Church. We talked about the meaning behind Easter and a little bit about kind of the more commercial side that Easter is in the United States. And that dinner was also free through a grant from the Massachusetts Councils on Aging. We had our Passover lunch as well, where Bethita, she was volunteering her time, came and talked about Passover, the meaning behind Passover, and she did a brief Seder as well, which was really great. And we had 35 people for that one. And then, like I mentioned, our trip to Old Sturbridge Village, which was great. Very exciting, tomorrow evening, Harvey Leonard will be here for dinner. I know that he is everybody's favorite weatherman.
Yes.
And so he will be coming again. And we have our Sunshine Cafe April 22nd, birthday lunch April 29th. I want to mention, it's not in here, for the month of May, we're going to be doing a movie series around Memorial Day. So we'll be doing some different military themed movies for that month. We'll do one a week. We're going to be showing a 2-part series, a documentary on the Marine Corps, and then we'll also show 2 movies as well. So I think that'll be kind of a nice way to talk about Memorial Day. And then we are also hosting a Cinco de Mayo lunch through the Massachusetts Councils on Aging grant that I received. So that will be the final program through that grant, and that will be on May 4th, which is not Cinco de Mayo, of course, but Cinco de Mayo is a very busy day for the Mexican restaurants in the area, so we're doing it the day before just to kind of give them a little bit of relief. I didn't mention, of course, St. Patrick's Day. We had a full house for St. Patrick's Day. I think we had about 85 or 90 folks for that. That is always one of the biggest holidays at the senior center, at every senior center in the area. Dennis did provide music again, which was lovely.
And jokes.
And jokes, yes, of course. Julia, who is the youth and family coordinator, brought her giant blow-up leprechaun, which people were clearly very fond of. And it was a great event as always. We also I have a picture here of Juanita's card making, which is much more than card making. For the month of March, she did a little leprechaun shaped lantern. She did a flower lantern in April, and then coming up she's doing a little card treat box that has flowers growing out of it, which is very nice, and she does a really great job as well.
Get a picture of the photographer.
Yeah. I know, I do.
Talking about Guido.
Yes, with his camera.
We had a picture of the photographer, and somehow the photographer got you.
Kendra, I have a question.
Sure.
Have you picked the day of the week for the movie series?
I think we did. Kristen, do you remember what day of the week we chose? I have to go back and look at my calendar. It'll be in the newsletter when the May one comes out. I want to say that we picked Tuesdays, but don't quote me on that. Yes. And I do know that the first movie we selected will be 1917, which is a great movie about World War I. people haven't seen it, it's a really, I really enjoyed it, it's a really great movie.
Any other questions of the director?
I just have a question on the rides, the bus rides,
Yep.
the WRTA. It says the senior center, 295 rides. Does that include people that are not part of the senior center, or is that a separate count?
That senior center is our bus drivers driving
Okay.
the WRTA bus.
Okay.
So it's not just people coming to the senior center,
Right.
it's the number of rides that they gave to all different places.
Make a motion to accept the director's report.
Motion to accept.
All approved? Aye.
Aye.
Next we have the senior needs assessment, continuing discussion.
Okay. I had talked to Kendra, one of the things I just wanted to provide an update on Friday morning, the board held a board retreat. This is something they do annually this time of year. They set goals for the select board as well as goals for the town manager for the upcoming fiscal year. So basically for starting July 1. One of the goals that the board set was to come up with a community center action plan. So to identify that, let me clarify, so
Yeah, don't get too excited.
in probably some of their upcoming meetings, the board meets tomorrow night. It's not on the agenda for discussion tomorrow night, but likely within the next few meetings, they will begin talking about timing of the project, scope, and funding. So I think those are sort of the big things. At this point, it does, things are tracking for the library to move out in hopefully September. And then my understanding is elections, fall elections will be held in the lower level of the building. One of the benefits of that, I think it gets some folks over there who maybe haven't seen the space yet. But it's also a good way to make use of, that's a lot of space. Elections are typically held at the high school, so this moves them over there. But in anticipating, some of the decisions the board will need to make are things around timing, when to bring it to town meeting for funding. I can't speak for the board, but I don't anticipate we are looking at bringing it to fall town meeting. We certainly wouldn't be ready because there's still some work to do. We would need to re-engage the architects to finalize the plan. So I don't want anybody to think that this could be on tap for the fall.
So the question is, do you need funding for that re-engagement process?
That's what we would need to identify if we need any additional funding based on where we left off, so.
Because it definitely was unfinished. Right?
Yeah, they got pretty far relative to the scope that we engaged them for, so yes, we would need to identify what the scope of their work would be to finalize it. They had started working on bid documents, but I don't think that piece was finalized.
No.
So based on all of that, I think the other big decision will be, right now, the project is phased, at least the way we identified it when we were working with the architects based on feedback that we had received. We had a phase 1, which was largely the senior center on the lower level, with some of the space on the lower level remaining unfinished until a second phase, which would also include some work upstairs in the recreation department. So I think they would likely have some discussion around, do we continue to take a phased approach? Do they look at putting it out there as a complete project? So those are the conversations that I expect the board would have. So understanding that that is a goal of the board, Kendra and I have been having some conversation about a potential opportunity for the Council on Aging to really start focusing on messaging the need for and the potential of that space, and creating a vision so that, you know, one of the thoughts is before we're going to anybody and asking for money, to start to craft that message and start having those conversations or getting materials out into the community. So I know we've been talking about things that are on the implementation plan. I think this fits because there is a piece of the implementation plan that speaks to space needs. And obviously we own the building. I think this is just sort of a logical piece, and timing wise, it makes sense for the council to begin this work. I think we've already talked about, and we've talked with Westborough TV about some help, you know, doing some, getting some recordings, some video of that building being used today, getting some, you know, quick interviews with folks who are using the space. We do have senior programming over there. We've also recently had conversations with the recreation director about additional programming being held in that space, because even though we've moved a number of exercise programs, you're still pretty much maxed out on your space here. So if we wanted to, especially now with John here, as we add more programming, we still have space needs. So the idea would be we would continue to have individuals who maybe haven't been over there yet have exposure to that space.
So I have been working with Jordan, who is the program coordinator at the recreation department, specifically as it relates to that building. So he and I have met a few times about when the library moves out, is there any potential for things that we could do in the big open space? So we have a couple of ideas of doing like a large scale movie night with like a larger screen. Something that we're talking about that would be an intergenerational program shared between recreation and the senior center is having a jigsaw puzzle competition. Who can put together their puzzle as a team of 4 the fastest? There would be prizes for, you know, winning, and hopefully that would engage some of the younger folks as well as some of the seniors. We've met a few times to discuss a shared art program. So there are some art instructors that are more expensive than what we would typically charge someone here, but the rec department doesn't have sort of that same money threshold. So for example, we're going to be doing a 4th of July craft where you build your own wooden sign. It'll be probably in June. You'll build like a wooden sign to hang in your home, and it'll be 4th of July related, but the charge will be a little bit more than what we typically charge. And we're hoping that by combining our folks here and then also the rec department, we get enough interest to make this class happen. So he and I have been meeting pretty regularly to kind of get some stuff off the ground, to really start not just having our fitness classes there, but to have some of our programming there as well.
And that again is also spelled out within the implementation plan. There is something that speaks to broadening the offerings by working collaboratively with other departments. So I think both that, and then also, you know, the library is a partner in that as well, to the extent that we find programming opportunities in the library.
And there have been some programming meetings that they're just getting off the ground between the recreation department, the senior center, and the library. And I think it's really great now that John's on board to be able to have a better representative to start attending those meetings and to have a better handle on what we specifically can offer. And how, you know, how the 3 departments can work together and what can we offer collectively.
For the record, I think this is wicked fabulous. And I'm very excited that we're putting this in the front and center because I think the opportunity to serve the community this way and to start by bringing some of the programming together from the library, rec center, and senior center, get people familiar with that building is awesome.
There was one question when we have a library annex thing at all, is that in the plan at all?
No.
I know it was talked about in the beginning.
I don't
Like we have out here where it's not like from the library, but they're our own books.
I thought there was somebody there. In the
I think
beginning,
there
we
was
talked about having
discussion of-
a small library annex for maybe just books or something for the library.
I'm not clear that we were intending for them to be books that would be borrowed from the library, but I know there was discussion of having shelving for books, but I think that's something we can certainly revisit.
So tomorrow I am taking a trip, John and I are gonna take a trip over to Assabet to talk to them about maybe having the students help us coordinate the newsletter. A thought is potentially trying to combine, not have it, we would still have a senior center newsletter, but a potential combined senior and rec department newsletter that just talks about what we offer in that building. As it's specific to the community center, so it's a senior center class, the line dancing class, but it would be nice because it is over at that building to kind of have a specific newsletter all about that whole building instead of having it mentioned in our newsletter and it being a little bit confusing. So I'm hoping that when I go over there to get a better idea of what their students could provide us, they also have some knowledge on maybe how we could do, even if it's just an emailed newsletter, but like a shared calendar where we share exactly what's happening in that building.
What was a regular newsletter?
So, yeah, that's the primary reason for the visit, but I'm hoping to get a better understanding of maybe even if there's just a software that we use to do an online sort of bulletin. Did you have a question?
I have a question for Kim. Kim, once the library is moved out of the first floor, and let's say, for argument's sake, the senior center will be put on the warrant in March of 27, just for argument's sake. How quickly can we start the building part of it?
It has to be funded.
Okay.
It would have to be after town meeting. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, I was wondering how long the building or the first floor will remain open and unused. And what you're saying is,
A while.
it might be a while. Because first it has to go on the warrant,
Yes.
and once it gets approved, because I'm assuming it's gonna get approved, then it has to be funded, is that how it works?
Right. Right, we don't otherwise have any funding to, given the scope of the construction that we're talking about, we don't have any funding available to
Okay.
start. It doesn't really lend itself to starting to tackle something with any available funds.
Okay.
It wouldn't be until July 1st of 2027.
It depends on how it's funded specifically, but typically, even from the time it's approved at a March town meeting, there's usually a little bit of gearing up, contracts have to be executed, things like that. The nice thing is, there's nothing in that space that has to be, moved out or shut down. The only question becomes, if it were to be a project that covered the full building, recreation would have to potentially make plans depending on how it's phased, but typically, if a project is funded in March, it would likely start by early summer.
And the plan right now is to keep the plans that were developed, I forget now, a year and a half ago?
I think we want to revisit those.
Okay.
And again, keeping in mind, there was a lot of community engagement to get us to that
Yeah.
point, but we've also we would want to, it's our opportunity to look at them, take a second look at them.
Okay.
For instance, Kendra wasn't here when that process happened, just sometimes things sit, you look at them and you're like, oh, does this still make sense? So we will revisit that,
Okay.
and I think we would expect that there would be another opportunity for community input and feedback.
Okay. Just one more question. The first floor will be usable. There'll be electricity. There's no bathroom, I think, but at least there'll be.
On the first floor? No,
There is bathroom?
Oh, yeah.
There is, okay. So, but it's totally usable. We don't have to worry about any liability or insurance or anything like that?
No, the thing what we've talked about is trying to figure out how we might use it, because there's an implication for probably staffing it. So if we were to run a program there, it's just thinking through
Okay.
that side of it. But yes, because the library is occupying it, it is suitable for
And as long as,
occupancy.
as long as it's not an event that requires like food, if we had a speaker coming in, and we had a large crowd, I think it would be a good venue to have, 40 or 50 people, because the problem is, much like here, you can only have one thing going on, because it's just a big open space. But when we have something that, draws a larger crowd, I think that there's probably some stuff that we could do.
Could we have our meetings over there?
I don't know, there's no furniture, so I think we just would wanna think about.
How big is your car? How big is your car?
Not that big.
I mean, if we wanna talk about changing meeting location for the interest of getting a better recording, we could move to, Memorial Hall and Town Hall because of it's better set up for Westborough TV to record, so I figured we kind of open the door to that one, so I'll put that out there.
So there is
Difficult there though.
Thank you.
So parking would be more difficult there.
Yes.
The number of our cars.
Yeah, there is on-street parking, but yes, there's not a lot there.
So you said there's a food restriction, even for catered food?
Oh, it's not a restriction, I just
There's
more
no
meant we don't
kitchen.
have like a kitchen to prepare things or to get things served adequately. And we wouldn't have like the ice machine to get ice for water, we don't have the water fill station, we don't have tables. So there's no like actual restriction, it's just we're not
there's
set
not
up for it.
So you could do catered?
Depending on what the catering
Yes.
needs are.
Yeah, we
Okay.
would have to find a way to get tables and stuff there, but yes, in theory.
Yeah, but just to clarify that, to go to town meeting with enough information to then, start initiating the contract, we would have had to do the review of the current design and have the architect put together the bid documents, which then have to go out to bid. So realistically, unless we start in October, it doesn't look like in March we would have enough information to actually have something to start construction.
We could, it's possible. I mean, if the board decides that's where they want to go, I think we would back into that March date and work backwards as to what needs to happen.
That's what we should be.
But my expectation is the board will have that discussion before the end of this fiscal year. I mean, we're already late April, so, timing, we would have to jump on it for sure, but it's doable.
Well, we already had a lot of information and then we had to stop. Because we were even picking out tiles and flooring and all that.
Yeah.
So we already had a lot of information and architectural information.
Right, but we would re-engage
But
them.
naturally, it's more expensive now.
Yeah, we would get estimates updated, but, yeah, no, I agree, Guido, it would be a tight but doable. If that's what they choose
Go
to
for
do,
it.
yes. They still have to
We'll keep
decide.
asking you every month.
Stay tuned, and just a reminder, the board agendas usually come out the Friday before their meeting dates, so I can certainly, as soon as we know they're gonna take that up, I can let Kendra know so that you all, if you are able to come to the meeting and be present, that's potentially very helpful, or just if you wanna watch it, they're, live broadcasts.
Abby is writing that down.
Yes.
She's
I would
ready.
love to speak at that meeting. Shocking,
So
I
I think,
realize.
so just anticipating, regardless of what date they pick, I think when they have the conversation, it's still a good opportunity for the council to start coming up with that messaging, sort of that vision. And again, I think it's sometimes helpful to start getting that out there before we have a firm ask in hand. So I'm not sure that there's a lot to decide today, other than maybe this is a future agenda item and we carve out some more time to really start either brainstorming or figuring out what some different, opportunities might be. I know, we have, again, we've already had the conversation with Westborough TV about the summer or as we lead into the summer, helping us put together something. So, we can, I think you've all seen their product and it's pretty amazing, so we can think about, what types of things they could capture, and then also if there are other folks in the community community that we wanna pull in to help with some of this and what sort of outreach, because my hope would be when we create that vision, that messaging, that you as members of the council can share it out to groups that you interact with in the community.
Diane, for our future, so with this exciting news, I think it should be on every agenda going forth, some discussion about what difference we could make in this future building, since we are the Council on Aging, and since messaging is going to be important, and since John is nice and new, perhaps you can be our guest at the next one to just get the ball rolling on messaging, because I think that's critical and fun. Is that okay, Diane?
Yes.
Okay.
So I thought at some point we were gonna bring somebody in from the library to learn what they did in terms of their successful messaging, so that we didn't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yep, nope, we've had the conversation and I think it's so when you look at the way the library is structured, the library has a separate statute. The library Board of Trustees has separate statutory authority over the library and its operations. And so the Board of Trustees, it's the chair that we're trying to coordinate with to invite her in. She has a pretty long history with the project. When we at one point talked about staff, well, they're involved present day. We were just trying to think of somebody who had the most history with the project, given the lengthy timeline before they got to the point of getting it funded. So that's what we're working on.
Okay, thank you.
And we're, again, it's a volunteer who's pretty
No,
tough, so
I
we're
get it.
working
I get it.
little sensitivity. But I think the idea too is if we start thinking about a timeline, it's also helpful because once we know what a timeline might be for this project, to be able to key in and maybe ask some specific questions focused on, this for us is, I certainly hope not going to be a 12-year process like it was for them. But I think
really?
it's really the ability to maybe ask some questions pertinent to where we are, timeline, and when we know a little bit more.
Thank you.
And if I may, Madam Chair? So one of the other things when we were looking at the implementation plan, there was a lot around transportation. And while we did make the change to the model we have in place with the Worcester Regional Transit Authority, we're coming up on a year at the end of this fiscal year, so the end of June, that program will be concluding its initial year. I think we want to continue, and Kendra's been doing it, going out and doing some continued outreach. We would love to continue to increase utilization of the service and make sure that anybody who could potentially use it is aware that it exists. So again, one of the, I think, check marks on the implementation plan is we switch to this model, but I don't want to lose sight of the need to regularly go out into the community, make sure people are aware, just understand how it works, understand even if you still have your license and you drive most of the time, if you have a medical appointment and would rather hop on the van than drive yourself, like just make sure people fully understand how it works and who it's available to. So I thought that might be something around some help in getting that messaging out. Kendra has been going out to some communities, but I think we want to identify other places in the community we can help spread that message.
Has there been any thought on offering bus service or driver service on the weekends for people to get to their houses of worship? Right now, there doesn't seem to be any, and I think that's a really critical spot that needs to be filled.
We don't have that available right now through the towns, through the WRTA buses don't operate on the weekends. And we would, for the town to offer that, we would need to utilize the town-owned vans and have a driver. Given that that's not, we don't have that in place right now, one of the conversations we had, is there an opportunity, if we're aware that there's an interest and a need, to work with various houses of worship and let them know and see if there's an alternative where the town's not directly providing it.
And the other thing, like Willows and up the street here, across from the post office, they have buses, but they're very limited. They don't.
We do offer transportation for the Willows and the Highlands. Any of those residents are welcome to use the transportation.
But not on weekends, that's my point. I
Right.
would like to see transportation offered on weekends for people to be able to go to their various houses of worship.
Kendra, do you have any plans to go to the Willows as you have to so many others?
I definitely will. I don't have anything on the books, but I plan to go to the Willows. I would like to go to the Highlands and the public housing sites as well. I just haven't had a chance.
So also, Orchard Hill community where I live,
Okay.
it's a 55 plus, and we have something called Lunch and Learn. It would fit perfectly for you to come.
Do you have, is there like a good contact? You
Yeah,
can give me the person?
yeah, I
Okay,
will.
yeah, that's great.
In that regard, I was gonna bring this up later. Why can't we have some of our meetings at the various condo associations?
So, two things, logistics. The second one is because you're a public body, it would have to be in a location that is open and available for any members of the
Well, are they
public to
open and
also.
available?
Not,
I don't know how
no,
they
not
are.
all of
Yeah,
them.
no, and
They aren't.
there's
Some maybe, but typically some of them are not. So we've had that discussion in the past, but because you're a public body, you have to meet somewhere where anybody would be able to attend.
Must be where-
Well, I know at the Willows, there aren't always a room available. It's pretty busy.
Yeah. The other
Program.
thing
They have
is,
an auditorium though.
It's pretty busy.
but to get in, you have to get like a key fob or like someone to let you in, which makes it not a public space.
Okay. Is that the same at Orchard?
Yeah, you need a key fob.
Okay.
It's the same at
Oh,
us
the
too.
Willows
I mean, you
Well,
could open
during
prop
the
open the
day.
door,
Right.
but the concept is
Right.
that it's residents.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
the Willows is open during the day. You don't, there's a receptionist. You don't need a key or fob to get in. But all the open rooms are usually very, very packed with programs. It's hard for them to get a room to put a program on it, though.
Even though it would be televised? There's gotta be a way around it. It would be a great way to get out there and they can participate in our meetings or not, or.
I mean, one thing is if Kendra is going, you could do almost, I mean, you've been going specifically most recently to talk about the transportation program, but you could do almost a listening session and Kendra and maybe one or two members of the board, you could dip in and go to different locations and
I mean, that's
just
kind of
host a listening
what's
session.
happening anyways. After I talk about transportation, people have like questions and unrelated to transportation. So it's just a good opportunity to get out there as well.
So we can only go two at a time.
Has someone been keeping track of the number of rides from the WRTA? I know the contract started last summer. So do we know, like, if every month it's been increasing, or is it better than we expected, worse than we expected? I'm assuming we're going to renew the contract in June of this year.
The total number of rides is pretty stagnant. They're around 300. I'm hoping that now, so our last data set is from February, the March numbers aren't in yet. I'm hoping that as the weather improves, we do see an increase. We definitely saw a decrease in the weather, one, because people aren't getting out as often, and two, because a lot of things are canceled when there's bad weather, including transportation. So I think that did have a limit on our number for the winter. I will be curious to see if March is a stronger month, but I think as the weather improves, it should be better. I also think, as I've been attending those community meetings, I think that each time I do that, there's probably a handful of people that didn't know about the service that are learning about it, and there's probably a few people each time that are learning about the opportunities.
Ready to get back to the needs assessment?
I think that is, I feel like that was,
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought, based on what Kendra and I had been discussing, and with the board taking that on as a goal, we thought that might be something to focus on in
Yeah,
terms of things on the implementation plan. So I guess that's
Okay.
perhaps for the council.
Okay, so basically, it's coming up with messaging for the Westborough Community Center and also messaging for WRTA. Those are the two takeaways for us.
I think so. I mean, I think one of the things that the council in particular, you all can really speak to the need for the space at the community center, given, limitation, just, there's a lot of things. So I think both, helping craft that message about why it's needed, and then, whatever we can do to show the potential for that space to suit those needs. And it's everything from, we do have some of the renderings that have already been done, as, where those stand today. I think we can show how the space is being used, even showing how that space is being used by the library. I understand that's a different function, but I think I have heard from individuals who have gone in to use it as the library, and they have been able to see its potential to serve as a community senior center. So I'm not the best marketing person and don't what all that translates into, but I think, John is sitting there nodding his head, and so I think those are the pieces to work with. And again, with with that being sort of one area for the council to focus, and then secondly, supporting expanded use of WRTA.
In any event,
Oh, that's okay.
In any event, you recommend that we wait until we have a date? Or,
I don't think so.
okay.
I think we'll have more information, and depending on what agenda the board puts it on, they meet tomorrow night, and then their next meeting is April 28th, and then they'll typically, they would have 2 meetings in May, so it depends on when they take it up. But the other thing we can do is create, I know you have your typical monthly meeting schedule, but depending on when we may know more, we could almost create a separate sort of just working session. It would still be a posted meeting, but the intent could be to do more brainstorming and thinking about how to put all this together.
So at this point, we're gonna hear from Kendra when it's gonna be on the agenda for the town, right? And then,
So it's
those
not
that are,
tomorrow.
no,
Right.
but those of us that want to participate in, or not, but listen to what's going.
Yep, you can either watch it or
Yeah.
attend. I mean,
Yeah.
it's always nice to have people sitting in the audience showing support.
A little bit on messaging. So I've been doing some work behind the scenes on this because I'm very passionate about this project. And there's a couple of things. So I've put together some messaging. It's not final, it's not to distribute, it's just some early thoughts. And one thing I want us to stay very clear on messaging is once we come up with the messaging, we need to be consistent in everything we do, whether it's applying for grants and whatnot. So one of the little pieces of research I did was how many different grants can various nonprofits that might support this and the town be able to use this messaging for. So for example, the words that come up as very important to this activity are all year round, because our center would be all year round. Intergenerational instead of multi-generational, because there's a difference. Senior, like kids, there's like a lot of different words that would appeal to different places that we either want to get money from or get coverage from, right? So I think when we work together, it's like we want to come up with one crystal clear thing, and from that can come social media campaigns, can be articles in the Community Advocate. Like, it's one thing that we all agree on that we can just keep using and using and using, because we want to be clear and we want to pound it in as much as we can in every different way we can, if that makes any kind of sense. I definitely support having a separate messaging brainstorming meeting. Because like,
And just to be clear, this group is not charged with going out after funds. I think whatever
Right.
you develop would be supported by any separate entity that's doing that on behalf of the town, or if the town were to identify, but yeah.
I think that's so, this is all very exciting. So is there an action item then to have a separate meeting on messaging?
I think we might, do you wanna wait a little bit until, I don't know if we wanna identify until we know more from the board.
That's fine. I mean, keep in mind, everybody, it takes a minimum of 3 times to hear something before we remember it. And with this day and age, fragmented media, it takes even longer. And you want to hear the same thing in as many different ways as you can hear about it. Okay, just keep that in mind.
That's the thing about marketing, repetition.
But in different ways, so it breaks through.
Songs in our brain, and some of it's video. So that's to be continued later. Seeing we brought up WITA, I did have a line item here to follow up on. Does anyone use the WITA themselves? Is there any feedback on it? How is it doing? Is there any feedback on using WRTA from any of the people you know? Have you used it at all? I don't know.
I heard from a lady that goes to church with me, and she uses it, and she has had no problems with them at all.
Oh, good to hear.
And if something gets canceled, all she does is call the number, they say, okay, fine. So she uses it whenever she.
So do you have to set up an account? Because someone told me they have to set up an account.
I think it's not an account isn't the right word. The first time you call, they ask for all of your information, so that going forward, it's as easy as saying, I'm Diane Collins, this is my address, this is my pickup time. So you just have to give
So
them
they don't
that
have to have
information.
an app.
Right, no. There's no app, it's just a standard phone number that you call.
Because a lot of people can't handle apps.
Yes, no, there's no like a smartphone technology.
And we
Anyone
do
else,
expect
any other
that
feedback?
this spring, we're working with the WRTA to get specific feedback from riders.
Oh, good.
From the riders.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a learning curve at the beginning
Yeah.
that, because they were used to certain services from the bus drivers with the town that WRTA does not allow. And so I think there was a little bit of a learning curve, but yeah, it's just getting used to it, yeah.
Because they also have that VIA one. It's just a small van that goes
Which
on.
is
Yes,
separate.
Separate.
And I've seen that everywhere.
Yeah.
So it seems to be utilized.
It's a little confusing. VIA is pretty much run through the planning department, but it's separate from our van service. Those are the little minivans. That is an app-based thing. You need a
That's an
smartphone
app.
and you
Okay, I
need
knew
to.
there was an app somewhere.
Yes. But our service is just a standard phone number.
Okay. That clears that up. Okay, that covers one more thing. And also as far as communication, it kind of leans towards Carol's information that she brought research on.
Yeah, so I went out and visited the Westborough Cable TV. Karen was not available, so I met with Aiden.
Just left.
Who just left.
He's got the next thing on the calendar.
Oh, and he was very, very engaging
Oh, hi, Karen.
and enthusiastic. I did put together something that I sent out with some suggestions. They're ready to rock and roll with us as soon as we can put something together. I came up with a suggested name. I think it's nice to have our program have a name. So I don't know how people felt about Senior Chatter, but if anybody has a different suggestion. Also, Aiden showed me that you can have a logo showing during your programming that takes up a little corner of the screen, and I think we should utilize that too. And I was suggesting that the Westborough has a W that they do. They painted it in some people's driveways when the kids were seniors, and it's still there, and I think they're graduated from college. But but using the Westborough W with their red, which is almost more like a maroon, and have Council on Aging in white lettering in the corner is a good idea. And then I talked about the format being interviewing with 1 or 2 guests. And then currently the idea is to schedule once a month, either Wednesdays or Thursdays at 11. And the show would take 30 minutes. And then I gave some possible topics, suggestions for subjects. They're all over the board, but I think that's kind of what's going to keep people engaged and interested. And then for those that wanted to see what I thought of as in terms of a format, because I had done some interviews with the Southborough Cable TV. I gave a couple of examples of what I did when I was the Shine Counselor in Southborough. So I'm hoping that this group says, let's go with it and get this thing rolling. Yes.
I love what you did. I think it's brilliant and all that. I have a teeny little thing. I don't identify as a senior. I don't know why. I don't know why. But otherwise, I mean, and can I live with it? Of course I can live with it. But I feel that excludes a large group of people at this point. I think it skews older, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I think it, like for example, at our community, it's 55 plus. I think it excludes a lot of people who don't consider themselves a senior.
So you're
brilliant.
suggesting a different name.
But can I live with that? Of course I can live with it. I just wanted to mention.
I don't own that name. I just threw it out there.
It just skews a little bit older, and maybe it's more inclusive if it's a slightly different word. Although I haven't been able to find a really good word to replace that, except for older adult, which I don't like either, or active living, or any of that sort of thing. So, but I think all of your ideas are brilliant, and the programming is brilliant.
We have talked about rebranding anyway, that senior name to
I've been
draw in
calling
the
it-
younger,
Yeah.
the younger seniors.
I've been calling it the Active Living Senior Center when I refer to it, just so that it's more inclusive.
Well, I think I said before, the only time I identify as a senior is to get a discount.
Yeah.
That's about it. I don't admit it.
Well, you don't have to come up with a name today. I can move forward. I think there's some information that I have to fill out or some kind of document. And I'll check with you, Diane. And then just noodle it around and come up with an idea. I think it's nice to have a name because people will say, "Oh, did you see the Ba 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 show on
The episode
cable?"
of Senior Chatter. Yeah.
You can call it teenage chat. We'll help
We won't
everybody.
get into seniors.
LOL chatter,
John's
little
head
old
is
lady
spinning
chatter.
now.
Carolyn, I was thinking perhaps one of the topics could be the, Westborough Community Center.
Oh, absolutely.
So I would add there, before I forget, I would add there that would be good to have some sort of interview or topic about what we're doing,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think that would have to happen after we have our
Absolutely.
messaging.
Yeah,
thing.
Maybe an
absolutely.
ongoing topic.
Yeah.
And Kendra left, but
She'll be back.
I was hoping to have her as the first guest.
It's right there.
We can
Because
volunteer her right now.
Here she
Oh,
comes.
Yeah.
we volunteered you for something.
I found
Okay.
out at the St. Patrick's Day party that was her 1-year celebration of being here.
When you leave a meeting, that's how you get volunteers.
That's okay.
So, I'm thinking of having you as the first guest.
I kind of figured that's what I was getting volunteer for.
As an anniversary gift.
Yeah, and so hopefully if you think of some names, shoot them out in an email to the whole group
Okay.
so that we can, it would be nice.
What about like Adults Rock or something like that, something.
There's no shame in being a senior
It's not a
citizen.
shame
it's-
thing,
it's
I
not-
just,
These aren't gray hairs. This is diamonds.
That's right.
All of us. Be proud.
It's not a shame thing, it's just the word. To me, senior always
Yeah,
meant
right.
way older, like way
Right.
older.
But not when you were a high school senior or a college
I'm
senior.
66, I just
Right.
don't identify as senior.
Senior means different things at different times.
Yeah, they better open it anyway.
Cold. I mean, there's so many advantages to being a senior citizen. There's no shame.
I'm happy
And
to
the
be
other
here,
part of
Diane.
that is that
Exactly.
so many people
Exactly.
don't live health-wise long enough to become a senior citizen.
Again, no shame, I just think it doesn't include a large segment of the people who are coming into being seniors, if you will.
They don't think of them.
I'm not ashamed of it at all, I call myself a little old lady.
But come up with some ideas.
Yeah, of course,
And
of
the
course.
name is not gonna hold us back. We can
Right.
probably rock and roll without the name.
So
Yes.
we
Marilyn, do you expect it to be once a week, once a month?
Well, I'd start with once a month.
Once a month, right? Okay.
So can we get a consensus and have a vote on this and get this rolling?
Karen wants to say.
Oh.
If I could, Diane, through the chair, is that all right for me to speak? Can I speak, is that okay?
You have to give her permission to speak because she's not
Oh,
on the board.
you have permission to speak.
Thank you, sorry, interrupting your meeting, so I wanna make sure that's okay. But we are so excited to get the show started again, or in some way, shape, or form, get a show started. And I think you've just done a great start getting everything going. I also have a little suggestion, which is, I wouldn't incorporate the W, because the W is very much school focused. And I don't want to confuse people, especially if we go with the word seniors. Then you'd be mixing those two different meanings. And so my suggestion might be that we try to do something with the new town logo.
Good with that.
If that's permissible. The other thing is, once you come up with the title, Aiden can put together some kind of graphic for you, so that it'll have that new logo along with the, if it's a senior chatter or whatever it is, so you can take a look at that. He could even do a couple and you guys could
I
choose
know,
from
he's
that.
quite talented.
Yeah, he's great. So that would be good. And then what was my other piece? Oh, and we can, I think it would be a good idea for it to be, they'll come up with topics, but maybe every once in a while you guys can talk about something you want to be announcing to people when you release the show. So if there's some kind of information, it's
Oh,
like,
yes.
well, you know what, don't forget.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a little bullet on your agenda to say, is there anything we want to make sure gets on Senior Chatter this month or at the next show? So
Okay,
just
perfect,
something
thank
to
you.
consider, because we can you can have your conversation about whatever topic you're on.
Right.
But when you close the show out, say, one
Oh,
more thing
absolutely.
from your Council on Aging is.
That was sort of in my sort of wheelhouse of doing that, because there could be some special program coming up that I want to make sure people know about that don't get the newsletter, that kind of thing.
Perfect.
Okay, remember that song, Get Ready, Here We Come?
Yes.
That would be a good one.
You want that to be the song?
Peter, what was the former
And
name?
music too.
Right, yes,
What
gotta
was the
have music.
former name of the?
Just thinking that.
Senior Scene.
Oh, was it the senior
Called
scene?
the Senior Scene.
Isn't that our newsletter name?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they went through the
That's
newsletter.
what they did.
But this
Oh.
is gonna be different than that, but we
Right.
will probably at the end mention a couple of upcoming things that'll
Oh,
be in the
definitely.
newsletter, so, yeah.
Aiden can probably have it running on the bottom.
So we're ready to go with that? Does it require a vote, or?
No, I was at that point.
Yes.
Really?
Okay, great. All right,
Okay.
Kendra, I'll be
Are
in
you
touch.
ready?
Okay. You gotta come up
Awesome.
with the name first, I guess.
Well, I'll go without a name if I have to.
Keep it senior, I'll give it a think, and everyone else can give it a think, and just it's not, like
We'll
I said,
have,
I'm not offended, it's more
That'll be
inclusive.
John's
Change it
first
later,
mission,
doesn't
come up with a
Right.
list of names for the board for you
Now
guys
let's get it
to,
rolling.
yeah.
Yeah.
Who wants to make a motion?
Me.
Motion to.
I made a motion, I'm sorry, I thought you
What's
just
your
raised your.
motion?
My motion is to go with Carolyn's amazing programming. But reconsider the name, but it's fine the way it is. But let's reconsider it anyway.
I second it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, Nancy second. All in favor?
Thank you.
Good job, Carolyn.
Good job, Carol.
She's like my little Jiminy Cricket. You know who that was, right?
Well, Diane, you forgot the resource thing?
No, we're getting to that.
Oh, okay.
We just had all this.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, ready for the resource thing?
Yes, so we had an action item last time to put together a Council on Aging resource guide. And of course, it's not difficult to put one out. What is very difficult is to keep it updated, and there's kind of that. So I sat down with the stuff that Diane sent me and my stuff, because I had created one a couple of years ago for Del Chauncey Lake, and I'm ready to do it. And I said, well, let me just see what's out there first. And there's actually a couple of amazing resources out there, which means there's really no reason for us to reinvent the wheel. So there's two resources I want to bring to our attention. This is the first one. I brought one for everyone. It's the Elder Care Guide from the Community Advocate, and this is the fall and spring. So it looks like he does one every half a year. This is in print, which is delightful. There's extra. Okay.
Thank you.
And there is another amazing resource from our AAA, which is Area Agency on Aging, Springwell, which is their resource guide, which is about the most thorough thing I've ever seen in my life, and that's only available online. So a couple of things. This is from, like I said, this is from the Community Advocate. Please keep in mind that how they work. So I know that some of us need stuff. Hold on a second, guys. I know some of us need stuff in print, and I appreciate that, respect that. So one of the things we may want to do, I'm happy to take that as an agenda item, is reach out to the publisher, who's Bob Bragdon? Anyway, and find out if he would provide some of these to some of the communities. I picked these up in the supermarket. They're kind of all over town with the Community Advocate, and it's a very thorough guide. Keep in mind how the Community Advocate makes money on this is by selling advertising, and the more people who see this, the more he can charge for his ads. So there's a couple of options. You can either work with your community activities director or whoever you have in your communities to get some of these to put in your halls, or like I said, I'm happy to call the publisher and see if we can get some of these. This is also available online. Like I said, Springwell, who is our Area Agency of Aging, AAA, they have a thorough database up there. So if you just go up to Springwell and you type in resources, or you type in whatever it is, lawyer, whatever the case may be, you will get a plethora of information. And what's cool about our Area Agency for Aging, our AAA, what's cool about them is they handle 20 towns. So there's Northborough's in there, Marlborough, like all the little boroughs, and then, I think Natick's in there, so a couple of other towns. It's not printed, it will probably never be printed because it's kind of an active database. So bottom line here is instead of recreating the wheel and creating something we can never update, we thought we should use what's currently available.
Sorry, say again, where did you get this?
I picked these up at Stop and Shop.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Oh.
But I'm going to
picked one up.
suggest that you work with, I'll call the publisher because I know him, but I'm going to suggest too that you might want to arrange for the person who runs whatever at each of your communities to contact them, because, all right, once you're on press, it's pretty cheap to print something like this once you're on press. So for example, if your community wanted 1,000 of them, perhaps there's just something you can work out for a low cost or for free for your community.
I know Willows has a whole sheet full of these.
Precisely, and it's actually pretty comprehensive.
And so who do you call at
It's the Community Advocate.
Yeah,
And
okay.
it's better if your community does it, because like my community doesn't necessarily need this per se, but your community might.
Yeah.
And have them call up, and maybe like if these are already printed and you can't get any more of them, well, there'll probably be a summer something. So get on the list for the next one, because like I said, once you're on press, it could cost like 10 cents to make one of these. Okay, any questions, comments? Do we feel now, and I'm also going to recommend to John that I know this is like your first day and stuff, but when you're here for like more than a day, we can post these things on the town website as well as resources for,
Yeah,
yeah.
So, as John works into his position here and it's not his first day, a lot of the website management for our page will get funneled through him. I do think that it makes sense to have a link to the Springwell, can't think of what it's called, but their resource guide. I think that makes sense. We probably wouldn't be able to put this one up there because it's a private company, but Springwell is public, so we could share the Springwell one as a link on our website.
Perfect, and like I said, these can be made available for those who would rather have print.
The Springwell one, I believe if I reached out to them and asked for some copies, I think they would be able to provide me with some as well.
Have you seen a
paper copies.
printed one yet? I haven't seen a printed one because it's a database, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, not that I recall, but I think if I asked, they could submit one to, send a couple to us.
They were here, the last couple of months, we had Springwell make a couple of presentations here.
Oh.
And in both cases, they referred to this resource, and the way they prefer to do it is you call them. So they've got a phone number, you call them, tell them what it is you're looking for, and they will send you information relative to that request. So
their central office, the main phone number that you would call as a resident when you look up their number, is to something called their information referral network. That person would funnel your request to the appropriate either person, or they would just send you the appropriate information.
Yeah, so to me, this solves a pretty big question in the town, which is, how do I find out, fill in the blank? So I would think, again, like I said, Director of Miscellaneous over there, John, I would think that, saying something as simple as there's this really awesome resource guide, a resource database in this case from Springwell, et cetera. So just, putting the word out. Thank you. Any questions, comments, criticism?
Okay. Check that out. Any other member questions about anything? Have we covered it all pretty much today? Carolyn?
I have a question, because I was actually reading this, assessment and key findings and recommendations, and I know Guido last time mentioned that the handyman had retired, and I just wanted to know what the status was on replacing the handyman.
So we're not going to replace him with the traditional job. So I have a team of 2 senior tax workout participants who will be taking over for the handyman services. We are meeting, the 3 of us are meeting on Thursday afternoon. We have a list of a few names already, and they'll be doing the same light house sort of requests. So they'll be doing the smoke detector batteries and kind of some of the very simple tasks as assigned.
Okay, so, because I was interested, because at last meeting you mentioned they were just doing batteries, and I was wondering whether that need for painting or touch-up.
Oh, yeah, they won't do that, but the handyman never did painting.
Okay.
So it'll be very, very light requests. So something like a smoke detector battery. I guess our landscaping company just got here. It's the blower. Yes, exactly. So it'll be like the smoke detector batteries, air conditioners in and out. And anything that's very minimal, no power tools required.
And then there's also a homemaker that I was not aware of. And also the recommendation was to track their demand, and does somebody track?
Yeah, so that gets funneled through our outreach department. It is something that we've had less and less demand for, and I think something that we're kind of exploring at this level, how to move forward with that. But it's only in very emergency cases do we make a referral where Springwell might have a long wait time, which hasn't been the case in recent years. Springwell's gotten much more timely with their requests.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone have any acknowledgements?
Just one follow-up on that. So these people now that are going out to individuals' homes, that's all going to have to be quarried
Yeah.
as well? Okay.
Yeah, all of our senior tax board dog folks are quarried.
Oh, they all are?
Yes.
Anyone have any acknowledgements they want to share? Okay, so the upcoming date, we await the May select board, we'll wait for email or something. And sometime in May, we'll be gathering at that. Future agenda topics, will be ongoing new senior center location, cable TV, etc. So the next meeting date will be May 11th. Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Move to adjourn.
Carolyn? All in favor?
Busy writing down the names of the people.